Madlala told Mr. Hlophe straight, told him that the boyfriend of Zandi is the one who shot Senzo.
Hey, Chada, we are back with another video. The page it is South African Lead News. That is the voice of the late Advocate Mngome Zulu. May his soul rest in peace. The in court, he was just quoting some part of the statement that was deposed by Mlungisi Hlophe. Hlophe told Lentole, the police officer that was taking the statement, that Tumelo Madlala phoned him and told him Uguti Senzo Menyo was shot by mistake by Longotwala. But it's just a reminder that the 5 men before court are just there because they are very unlucky. The state has chosen to pin this murder of Senzo Menyo to them because they are protecting someone that is highly powerful or someone that comes from a powerful family. However, in today's video, I want to stitch one of the videos that I've posted in the past, where I highlighted some of the most bizarre deaths in this case and the fact that nobody has been arrested for those deaths. So please do watch, and then I'll comment afterwards, because there's been quite a lot of happening in the current events, but less so in the Menyo case, because Advocate Baloyi has chosen to employ these delay tactics, of which is very unfair. But anyway, watch this video and then I'll comment afterwards. Thank you. What's up, people? We are back with another video. The YouTube channel, it is called South African Lead News, and the handle for this YouTube channel, it is at KZN_ZA. Yeah. Today we're talking about the death of some witnesses in this case, because there's been a lot of them, and I'm worried about the death of those key witnesses, because they could have changed the direction in which the case is going. So I therefore hope that the defense witnesses will be safe up until the case is concluded. But the delays that we have so far are not helping, because as time goes, witnesses may die. Even if they don't die, they may forget some things. But I hope that the likes of Makubo, Joseph Teles, and Mshlope are safe wherever they are. I remember that Fiso Meyiwa made a video where he stated that Makubo received some death threats not so long ago. Clearly, we know who made those death threats. We know very well, and no doubt about that. Makubo was one of those investigators that was investigating Docket 275 because he knew that Docket 636 is just nonsense. Witnesses like Brigadier Ndlovu, Thabang Makeleni died under suspicious circumstances, and no one has been arrested ever since they died. But one thing for sure, it's clear that the 5 accused before court did not kill any witnesses because they are in prison. Plus, the likes of Ntanzi, NCB, and Mapisa could not kill those witnesses because they have no means, no resources when they are behind bars. Therefore, the state is the only one that has had the means and the opportunity to kill those witnesses. They may have deemed them to be problematic for the state case. It's just a view. I'm not saying they killed them, but if you look at the trail of evidence, it is very suspicious the way they died, and the fact that no one has been arrested. That's the main thing. That if someone dies, there must be investigation, and then there must be some arrest. Then the obvious question is, did the state kill them? Well, the answer is in the air, and we have to connect the dots. And let's talk about some of those witnesses that are no longer with us in much more detail. Firstly, it was Brigadier Ndlovu. Brigadier Ndlovu was one of the first witnesses to die. He's not the first. His death was very suspicious because it seems like a case of poisoning. Then the Brigadier Ndlovu's wife was killed in a drive-by shooting in Vosloorus on the 5th of November 2023. This on its own shows that they both died because they knew something very explosive and important about this case. and so far no one has been arrested. And you must remember that Brigadier Ndlovu was killed in May 22. Then his wife was killed 18 months later. Clearly, the wife was told something by her husband. So the people that are dangerous, they knew about this because she died soon after. Clearly, this was an orchestrated death. So some people deem her to be dangerous, so she had to be killed like her husband. And remember that at the time of her death, the police spokesperson, it was Lieutenant Colonel Mavela Masondo. He confirmed that they were investigating the death of Mrs. Ndlovu, but to this day, there's been no arrest. And don't expect anyone to be arrested. This case will be swept under the carpet. You know very well that our justice system is very corrupt. This colonel said Mrs. Ndlovu, her name was Nonhlanhla Ndlovu. He said that Nonhlanhla Ndlovu was on her way from a shopping mall, driving home to Fort Loras on a Sunday afternoon, when an unknown man fired shot from a vehicle driving by. So this case should have been solved by now because the death occurred in an area where we expect to have cameras, but it has not been solved. So this thing of not solving cases in this country, it's prevalent. And Brigadier Ndlovu was one of the first officers to arrive at the crime scene when Zenzo was killed. He was expected to take a stand on the 30th of May 2022 to further answer what transpired on the day Senzangayo was killed. Ndlovu was going to be a problematic witness for the state because he was going to contradict the testimony of Sergeant Mosia. Remember that Sergeant Mosia arrived at the crime scene very late. I think he arrived at about 5 hours late. So Sergeant Mosia blamed the late Brigadier Ndlovu for his late arrival. Mosia told the court that Sergeant Ndlovu did not give him a correct address for the crime scene. Mosia said that he had to go to the station and try to find his address on its own. And he said if Brigadier Ndlovu had given him a correct address, he would have arrived very early on the crime scene of Senzangayo, and then he would be able to preserve the crime scene and make sure that everyone in the house was moved out. But he blamed Ndlovu for his late arrival. However, the statement by Brigadier Ndlovu, it stated that Mosia was given a correct address. So between Mosia and Brigadier Ndlovu, someone lied. But Ndlovu is dead, so now he can no longer speak because he's dead. So the court now is forced to accept the version that was given by Mosia because Mosia came to court and testified. However, I suspect that Mosia lied and then tried to blame Ndlovu simply because a dead man can't speak. I think Mosia arrived at the crime scene late because he was doing his own stuff. He didn't care much about this case. That's it. So now they are blaming Ndlovu because he's dead. It's simple as that. So now, did the state kill Brigadier Ndlovu? Well, you have to connect the dots, but the evidence is right before you. And then the statement by Brigadier Ndlovu further contradicts Mosia. According to Mthethwa, you remember Mthethwa is one of those first police officers to testify in this case. Mthethwa, he said, as far as he remember, he said Mosia was wrong. He said Mosia was guided at the crime scene by Detective Zwane and not Brigadier Ndlovu, as Mosia testified. So Mthethwa is saying Mosia is lying. Remember, Mosia told the court that Ndlovu was in charge of the crime scene. So there we have it. Mthethwa contradicted Mosia. So that's the first clue that Mosia lied about Ndlovu. So I suspect Ndlovu was killed because there was more evidence that he was going to give, which was going to destroy the state case. Ndlovu was a police officer, but maybe he was an honest police officer, so now he was not going to help Baloyi and others. So that's my take on it, clearly. So Mosia is probably protecting Detective Zwane because they both failed to secure the crime scene. So, so the easier thing to do is to blame the nonsense to the late Brigadier Ndlovu. And Mosia, he arrived at the crime scene. He did not take any statement from the likes of Longwe or take any gun residue from the likes of Kwelikhumalo and Longwe. So the mess at the beginning was created by Mosia and Zwane. That's clear. But now, because Ndlovu is no longer alive, they're gonna blame it on him. And then I think the state just want to blame the mess on Ndlovu because he's dead. It's simple. So if Brigadier Ndlovu was alive and he was gonna come to court and contradict Mosia, that was gonna be bad for Sheilin Baloyi's case. As a prosecutor, you don't want witnesses that contradict each other. It's simple. So was Ndlovu killed in order to avoid such contradictions? Well, we have to connect that. We have to connect the dots. But to me, the evidence it's all over. And also, Ndlovu was not the first witness to die in this case. Remember that Thabang Makeleni, who in 2014 was a student living in Vosloorus, not far from the Khumalo's house. He died of suspected poisoning a few months after making a deposition to the new investigators of this case. So another witness was killed via poison. We see the pattern here. Remember that Thabang Makeleni is that witness that helped the police to draw the identity kit. And she's the same witness that allegedly saw the accused at the garage, and then later on he saw the accused outside the Khumalo's home. He also said that he saw the accused with the gold tooth. I suspect that the statement by Thabang Makeleni was cooked in order to implicate Ntanzi Ogadla. If Thabang Makeleni was alive, I suspect that he was going to come to court and deny that he made that statement. Firstly, the people that were in the house, they could not identify Ntanzi or any of the accused. But Thabang Makeleni was able to identify the accused at the garage and outside the house. But it was darker at that time. How could he see them? See, so the statement by Thabang Makeleni was going to be questionable in court, and it was not going to help the state because what's contained there doesn't make sense at all. Remember that Senzo was killed at about 8:30, and it was October, and we know for a fact that in October it is totally dark. So Thabang Makeleni could not have seen so much information about the gold tooth and the facial features of Ntanzi and so on. So I suspect that the statement by Thabang Makeleni was cooked, and Thabang Makeleni was going to come to court and then deny that he ever made that statement. And that was going to be a problem for the state and for Sheilin Baloyi. Once a witness is dead, then the state can use the statement as long as they can produce that certificate of Thabang Makeleni. So Thabang Makeleni died on the 23rd of January 2019. And Thabang Makeleni and Ndlovu were not the only witnesses that died. Then there was a Simphiwe Ngwenya, who was another witness that was shot dead, and no one has been arrested after his death. Simphiwe Ngwenya is the witness that was sitting with Thabang Makeleni on the night when Senzo was killed. They were both outside the Khumalo household. So the state was going to be asked about what Simphiwe Ngwenya saw. But as far as I know, there's no statement that was deposed by Ngwenya. I suspect that it was hidden by the state because maybe Simphiwe Ngwenya was going to contradict statement by Thabang Makeleni that there were intruders outside the house. So Simphiwe Ngwenya had to be killed in order to prevent such contradictions. So you see the pattern here. We know that there were no intruders on the day Senzo was killed. Senzo was killed by the people in the house. So it is suspicious that two friends, Mr. Simphiwe Ngwenya and Thabang Makeleni, are both dead, and they were both witnesses in the Senzo case. So to me, it's a bit odd that two people that were sitting outside the Kumala house on the 26th of October 2014 were both killed in a short space of time. So clearly there's some correlation there, and there's a pattern that's going on. Makeleni, Simphiwe Ngwenya, and Ndlovu. But what can we say? But as the trial continues to unfold, the air of uncertainty and unexplained event thickens, leaving the public to wonder what other secrets are buried with those witnesses. I certainly hope that the remaining witnesses like Hlophe, Makhubo are kept safe, because there's too much evil in this world. We need justice for Senzo Meyiwa, and justice is only contained in Docket 375. This 66 nonsense is just a waste of time. We know that on the fateful night that Senzo was killed, Senzo Meyiwa visited his girlfriend's mother in Vosloorus. People in the house were Kelly Khumalo, Kelly's mother Ntombi, George Chwala, Kelly's two kids, I think it's Christian and Tingo. And those are the people that need to come out and tell us what happened in the Senzo case. But we already know through Susumeyo that on the day Senzo was killed, Tumelo Madlala phoned him and said Senzo had been shot. And Susumeyo asked how the phone was taken away from Tumelo. So he couldn't say how. And thereafter, people in the house had a chance to create a story about these intruders, and so on and so on. We know that on that night there was a meeting in that house where the MEC of police in Gauteng at the time and other government officials, they talked and spoke and so on. And then we know the rest. Why would an MEC hold a meeting at the crime scene? Because at the time when they had a meeting, their house was still a crime scene, because the likes of Chris Mangena had not arrived to take swabs and also search for more cartridges at the crime scene and so on. So the people in that house, they need to come out and speak the truth. But as you've seen, that there have been so many deaths in this case, and it happened at a short space of time. So to me, it's clear that their death was orchestrated by someone, and I'm sure you can guess who's that person. But thank you for watching. The case will resume on the, I think, at the beginning of April. Thank you for. There you have it. Advocate Bolai put Musibi on the stand for more than 10 days because he's hoping that some of the defense witnesses may forget some part of their evidence. He's also hoping that some of those witnesses that are older may just pass away due to old age or sickness, therefore not testifying in favor of the defense. That could include Ubaba Absalom Zungu. We know that Absalom Zungu is quite old. So now, as more time goes on, he may forget some part of the lies that were told to him by Gininda. He may forget what he wanted to say. Or even he might kick the bucket. Once he's gone, then he cannot testify in favor of the 5 men before court. So I think Baloyi's strategy now is to just delay and delay and delay so that the defense witnesses are unable to testify due to old age or whatever. But siyabuka nje, he won't succeed because after he's done with Ulo Umosibiyo, I suspect that Ulo Undanz will also take a stand in his own defense. He'll employ the same thing, but it will not help. It will not help him because the evidence that is before court does not support his case. We know for a fact that when Senzumeyo was shot at about 7:30 to 8, the phone it is the evidence before court that it pinged in the Johannesburg CBD, meaning that he was not in Vosloorus when Senzo was shot. So these guys, when Senzo was shot, they were not there. Even the DNA itself, which is the most important part of the scientific evidence that is in court, it says all 5 men before court are excluded from the sample that was taken from the crime scene, meaning that all 5 men were not in their house when Senzomeyo was shot. So even the hat that was found in the crime scene were told that it was being worn by one of the suspects. They said it was worn by the second intruder. But now once the DNA test was taken from that hat, it showed that the DNA in that hat belongs to a woman. And we know for a fact that Kata Mncube and Bwantanzi are not women, they are men. So it could not be possibly them that were in that house. So Baloyi can continue with his long cross-examination, but in the end, the truth shall prevail, and it is contained in docket 275. I hope that you've watched the video and clearly see that Baloyi is just using a delay tactics now because he does not want the defense witnesses to come to court. He wants them to get old and then pass away so that they have no chance to testify in favor of the accused. But anyway, we shall see. Today, the case resumes and Angazu Baloyi, what he has in store for us. Thank you for watching.